Hello, I'm Dan. I'm a games developer advocate here at Google.
And I'm Crispy, also developer advocate at Google, focused on games.
In this video, we will discuss the high-level aspects of building games for the big screen.
Not that big screen. TVs, more like this one. We're going to talk about what to avoid, what to strive towards, and how Google APIs can help support bringing your apps to the really big screen.
Much of what we are about to show you will apply in the broader context of the Android ecosystem surrounding games. In particular, when you consider how many Android devices are able to connect to large displays using Miracast, DisplayPort, docking hardware, as well as TVs with Android built in, you have at your disposal a full suite of technology that can put you in front of an engaged and growing audience. There are a lot of mobile gamers in the world, and they're looking to expand their gaming experience onto the biggest screen in their home. We hope that after watching this, you will be inspired to make sure your users get the best gaming experience on the big screen. Android TVs are going to be coming soon to a family room near you, and you better make sure your games look good on it.
With Android TV, you get to build on your existing mobile development experience. You can now take full advantage of modern Android, including NDK support, to craft your gaming worlds in unimaginable ways. It's even possible to extend the gaming experience through second screen interactions.
TV game development might seem to be overwhelming at first, considering how many different aspects are involved. In practice, though, it's not very different from what you are already doing with your mobile game development. Your projects can be managed in the same way. You just need to factor in a few additional considerations.
Let's start with my personal favorite, game controllers. Many mobile games use gestures whereby the user touches the sleek glass screen in front of them to interact with it. This works fine on a phone, but not so much for TV screens.
My arms certainly aren't long enough to reach across my living room.
Mine either. On TV, mobile on-screen controls become useless.
And even if my arms were long enough, touching most TVs would just result in a messy screen.
Yeah, not many people have touchscreen TVs, which is why you need to add touchscreen required equal false in your application manifest. It's implicit, which means you need to make the distinction.
Luckily, every Android TV will have a controller capable of producing directional pad input, thus allowing the user to interact with the TV.
Yep. The Android reference controller is definitely a developer's best friend. It has exactly what you would expect a game controller to have. 2 analog sticks, D-pad, B, A, X, Y buttons, left and right triggers, left and right bumpers, back button, home button.
It can also be paired with any Bluetooth-capable Android device, which means you can play controller-enabled games on your phone or tablet as well.
That's a very useful thing to do in general. I'm always a little surprised and saddened when I find a game that would be great to play with a paired controller, only to discover it doesn't accept the controller as valid input. Even worse, some of these games have on-screen simulated game controllers.
Yeah, it makes me sad too, because the developers have already done the work of mapping to the same kinds of input, but did not include the button mappings to the hardware.
With all the game controller support that exists with Android now, I don't feel there's an excuse for that.
Maybe they just don't know about it.
Fair point, but, you know, if you're watching this, you know about it.
And knowing is half the battle.
Yeah, there's a few other things to know too, though. For instance, Android KitKat now supports the enumeration of controllers, and the game controllers that support this will light up accordingly.
In your application, you make a call to get controller number to determine the controller driving the input event being dealt with. You can use this feature to make sure your little brother or sister is playing as player 2.
You can now tell Google Play that your game requires a game controller. This could be used to stand out in the Android TV Play Store.
You add the details to the application's manifest. This example indicates that your game must be used with a controller. You can also list all the supported types of controls for your game. If you require either a multi-touch touchscreen and gyro, or will work with the game controller, then you can use feature groups to define it in the manifest.
Now that you've added support in the manifest and in gameplay, you aren't finished yet. You need to think about how the players will make menu selections and provide non-gameplay input.
One of the hardest things that game developers have to deal with is focus and selection. Many games designed for touch just don't yet have that concept.
You know, one place to start would be to change the color of the selected text. This alone is not enough, though. In this example, you really can't tell whether the start game or settings is currently selected.
This is a bit better.
It would be even better if it were animated. You know, use motion to convey context.
Done!
You know, a lot of games have buttons to connect to social services, etc. These buttons are often in non-obvious places for navigation.
So, this is easier to follow, right?
Yeah, but you're clearly not a UX designer.
Remember, hire a good designer. One of my favorite recent games did a great job with bringing their game to the TV and navigating menus, except that it was near impossible to actually purchase anything in the game without touching the screen.
It fell down when it came to purchases?
No one had tried buying anything with a controller. Google Play in-app payments supports D-pad navigation out of the box with a UI that looks great on TV. But you have to make sure the user can get there. Making your navigation clear and understandable is just as important outside of your main menu. Make sure that your TV players aren't missing out.
Okay. Let's shift gears now and discuss another essential item on the TV development checklist, networking.
So, you're probably thinking that you know about network detection on Android. However, many developers forget to consider the possibility of Ethernet network connectivity when building for TV.
Android TVs have wired Ethernet ports to allow fast networking. This means that Wi-Fi may be turned off, but it's still connected to the internet. Mobile developers have not had to worry much about fixed stationary devices. It's not been common for developers to build their network checking code to consider connectivity beyond cellular and Wi-Fi.
The good news is that it's really easy to test for network connectivity without caring about the type using this snippet of code. But if you really want to test whether wired networking is active, you can check to see if the active network is of type Ethernet. Understanding the active hardware allows your game to make good decisions about using bandwidth. Speaking of hardware, Android TVs have graphics hardware exposed to the power of OpenGL-ES. You can draw at the full resolution of your TV.
With many pixels comes fill rate responsibility. Use your pixel power wisely.
Right. It turns out that we're not quite ready to draw graphically intense 4K scenes with mobile GPUs. Yet. But there's an easy way to tell Android that you want to render at a lower resolution. If you're using Java, you can call surfaceholder.setFixedSize, and that will tell our compositing engine to scale your smaller window to the size of the screen.
And if you're like almost every game developer out there and not implementing your graphics in Java, you can change the size attribute of the target window.
Hey, you can still use GL Surface View with the native renderer. The context are shared. The key thing is you want to make sure your games look beautiful on a large screen. Many of the shortcuts taken in mobile look glaring on a large screen.
Low-res textures, low poly count models, geometry rounding errors, poor bit mappings. Look, you know what I'm talking about here.
Oh, amen, brother.
So with all this cool rendering, there's another thing you have to consider when developing for the TV screen.
Other than epic sizeness?
Well, overscan. It's something that still inexplicably exists on modern TVs. Effectively, this means that some of your content may be pushed beyond the visible edge of the display.
So people should letterbox content and have borders?
No, just make sure you fill the screen, but keep the important information out of the outer 3% of the display.
Like what kind of important information?
HUDs, for example. It's kind of important for people to see those. It could become very annoying for the user to fiddle with their TV settings, trying to see the full UI of your game, only to discover that no matter what settings they play with, they still can't see the whole thing. Keep the edges of your game free of critical information.
I wish every developer knew about overscan and didn't have to know about overscan. Let's move on to what developers can do with Google Play Game Services.
Google Play Game Services have been optimized for Android TV with easy navigation and a great new look and feel.
You can also utilize achievements, leaderboards, quests, and more.
More being multiplayer support.
Yes, you can utilize turn-based multiplayer and real-time multiplayer from Play Services. There's even C++ support for turn-based multiplayer.
I want to see some awesome multiplayer experiences with people playing on their tablets in the same room so I can hear them groan. Second screen experiences in the living room are growing in number. Game saves can be a great tool for keeping your users engaged. Part of extending the mobile experiences to the TV means being able to continue playing on the biggest, baddest, most overscan-prone screen in my house.
Cooperative multiplayer is also worthwhile. Play Games has a great API for peer-to-peer multiplayer with up to 8 players. It's so much cooler if some of them can be on TVs.
Everything's better on TV. You know, you can unlock the RTFM achievement.
Wait, what achievement was that?
Read the full manual. It's not exactly a manual, but rather a website. We're always trying to make it better.
And on that note, help us make TV games better. In this short talk, we covered a lot of ground, but there is always more to explore.
In summary, we looked at game controllers and the importance of navigation, focus, and selection. Networking and why it's not sufficient to just look for Wi-Fi. Graphics rendering on the TV and the challenges that overscan can present. And finally, Google Play Services and how it can help bring about the best gaming experiences for your users on TV.
More details about how to get your game ready for TV can be found on the new developer site for Android TV, including important manifest changes to work with our new lean-back experience. You can get in touch with us at +Dan Galpin and @DAGalpin.
And +Kristen Uccello or @_Crispy_.
Now go build something fun, engaging, and big for us to play on TV.